At the end of February, the Caltech Policy Center hosted a workshop on the pathways towards the safe and effective deployment of engineered microbial technologies. The goal was to foster the discussion on how to develop policy and regulation around engineered microorganisms, something that we do a fair amount of research on here at Caltech. John Marken is a postdoctoral scholar in biology at Caltech, and you are one of the key organizers. John, so what do you think are the biggest areas of applications where we'll see genetically engineered microbes?
Yeah, so one of the really exciting things about microbes is that they're very good with interfacing with the physical and particularly the chemical part of our physical universe. So you can imagine, for example, things in agriculture or bioremediation. You can have microbes that are engineered to go in and really modify an existing environment, whether it's a controlled environment such as an agricultural cropland or a natural environment that's been contaminated by toxins, or you can imagine something like vehicles that have a microbial coating that can prevent rust and corrosion, things like that.
So can you speak a little bit more about the risks that are associated both with developing and deploying genetically modified microorganisms?
Yeah, so the biggest concern I think that we have is we want to avoid a lot of the classic cases we see in, for example, invasive species research. And so I think when you add in two factors, one, the fact that we don't really have a good grasp and understanding of what invasive species ecology even looks like in the microbial realm, and two, the fact that not only are you thinking about introducing microbial elements that are perhaps not native to that natural environment, but also the fact that they are genetically engineered, which means you're introducing foreign DNA that is certainly not native to that environment. What are the unknown unknowns that we have to think about in order to prevent things like the cane toad situation or the kudzu situation from occurring in environments all around the world?
Richard, give me a little bit of a sense of why this sort of discussion about genetically engineered microbes is so important right now.
Yeah, so I think a number of reasons. One is that just the way that technology is moving and our ability to do engineering, our ability to engineer larger and larger and more complex things is something that's exciting and has lots of opportunities, but it's also something that the regulatory system was sort of not maybe designed to handle. And now as we start thinking about these kind of engineered biological systems and how they play through those 30-year-old, 40-year-old regulations, how do we coordinate everything? What became clear was that this kind of patchwork of regulations, while there was a mechanism to try and make it work, it's really something that's not very well suited for modern biotechnology.
From your perspective, why is it important that Caltech is part of this discussion?
Yeah, I think there are lots of reasons. It's sort of interesting from a Caltech point of view. The scientific questions are hard, right? So these are not things that you can simply say, well, I don't really need to understand the details of it. I can just kind of, make policy without necessarily understanding. No, I don't think so. And I think there are new scientific questions that are going to come up. And so I think having that kind of Caltech science connection in there is useful. I also think that, especially in this space, policy needs to be guided by that kind of scientific understanding. And I love that the Caltech Policy Center is providing a mechanism for Caltech scientists to get more involved in policy discussions. When I was on this panel on future products of biotechnology, I think one of the things that we saw there was that there needed to be more engagement with scientists, especially engagement early in the scientific development process. I'm developing a new technology. I should think through, how is that technology going to be regulated? What are the things that I'm going to have to answer about it? Because doing that early allows me to maybe design it in a way that it is designed for regulation in some sense, right? So I think by exposing Caltech scientists, both graduate students, postdocs, faculty, to that kind of policy perspective, it enables us thinking earlier about how are we doing things, how are these things going to play through that policy framework.
We're soon expecting to release a report on this workshop. As a co-organizer of this workshop, what should we be looking out for in this report?
Yeah, I hope that we'll put out two reports, in fact. One that's kind of policy focused, one that's science focused, right? With the policy focused one saying, what are the challenges to putting engineered microbes in the environment, to worrying about environmental release, and from a policy point of view, what are things that the government could do, policymakers could do, that would enable us to do that in a better way?